Albert Einstein wasn't messing around when he said three great forces rule the world: stupidity, fear, and greed. These three little delinquents have been around forever. But right now, I can't doom scroll for 10 seconds without someone calling out one in particular. Will delinquent number three please step forward? Yes, that's right, greed. It's a problem. The thing the researchers point out, which I think is the key, is that the harm isn't a side effect of greed. The harm is the thing. That's what separates greed from ambition or just wanting nice stuff. Let that little gem sink in. The harm isn't a side effect of greed. The harm is the thing. That puts it closer to assault than to ambition. We just don't have the language for it because the people doing it write the dictionaries. And the weapon in this case is a spreadsheet. I don't know why, but this reminds me of a girl I went to school with. She lived in the big house on the hill. Her father wore pastel sweaters tied around his neck in colors like lemon, and I think I referred to one of the colors as manberry. And he liked to talk and brag about what he bought and what he built, what he was going to build, or what he was going to buy. He did this all of the time. It was annoying. He was like, Captain, I can't read the room, because most of the people in this small town were not wealthy. So most people were like, easy, buddy, come on now. But kids can be a tiny bit transactional, and they like to swim and play tennis and ride ATVs. So this girl just had parties a lot and created this Lord of the Flies vibe. Anyway, there was a birthday party coming up for a boy I liked. And 2 weeks before the party, I started the "What cool gifts could we get my future boyfriend" campaign with my mom. We went out to a toy store, and I knew he liked planes, so I wanted to get him this remote control plane. I pitched in, and my mom pitched in, and it was a done deal. I was super happy, excited to give my perfect gift. I knew he loved planes, and who didn't like planes? I mean, it's perfect. When the birthday party finally came, I was so excited. I watched the other kids give their presents, and when the girl from the big house came, she gave him a clearly used puzzle in a box that was actually held together with some tape. And don't get me wrong, I would get it if it was a toy that my future boyfriend coveted and she decided to give it to him. But no, it turns out she had just forgotten about getting him a birthday present and grabbed it as an afterthought. My future boyfriend looked confused at first and then smiled and gave it the same amount of enthusiasm that he gave the rest of the gifts, including mine. Now, to be clear, I wasn't looking for a public shaming. I mean, we were like 10, although 10-year-olds can be brutal with public shaming, but it made an impression on me for two reasons. First, I learned that my future boyfriend understood the idea of access. Even though he didn't really understand that he understood it, he smiled and said thank you because he knew, somewhere underneath, that not everyone shows up the same way. That some people are going to give you a remote control plane or a basketball, and some people are going to give you a used puzzle, and you take what you get. Especially if taking what's being given is going to let you ride motorbikes after school and horses. I think there were horses too. And the second thing is that somehow the little girl thought there'd be no consequences to forgetting about getting a present for his birthday party or to grabbing some half broken thing on her way out the door. And she was right, because she too understood access. She didn't have to think about the gift because she had the pool, the tennis courts, the motorbikes, and no matter what she did, kids would want to go over and play at her place. She held the cards. And I guess that brings us back to where we are now and the topic of greed, because that's what greed actually runs on: access. The people at the top know the people at the bottom need them. It might not be a pool or motorbike anymore. It might be a job, a paycheck, health insurance, a mortgage, the thing that keeps your life from falling apart. And so we take what we can get. We don't ask for what we actually want. We don't stand up for what we actually need because we're afraid of losing the access we currently have, no matter how meager it might be. That's the whole thing. The people holding the cards don't have to be cruel about it. They don't have to be loud. They don't have to shake you down. They just have to know, and we have to know, that they have the pool and we don't. So they get to forget our birthday, hand us a used puzzle, and we smile and say thank you. Because what's the alternative? I don't know what the solution is, I'm not the person at the top and I'm not the person at the very bottom. I'm somewhere in the middle, taking what I can get, like most people I know. But I think about that girl on the hill sometimes and the used puzzle. And I think maybe the first step is just noticing, naming it. Naming it doesn't fix it, but it does something. It makes it a little harder for the people holding the cards to pretend they're not.